Okay. Hi, this is GP here, and with me is Gejo, and we are here to discuss as to what is the importance of Talk Mock 1 and why you should be taking, how do you approach, what do you do with it after taking the paper, because obviously if the paper is only the start, and what is that you should do with the paper to get the best out of it from a preparation perspective. Okay. So let's get started, Jijo. Any opening comments you want to make before we get onto the PPT?
Yeah, welcome one and all. The so things are getting serious now. The Pro Mock 1 is going to start, and this is that stage of a preparation where so sort of things are going to get things are already serious, but it's going to get serious, and we hope we can add some value to the journey that you're having to make it to the B school of your choice. Okay, so we'll cover 8 things, but don't worry, it's not huge. We want to kind of ensure that this particular session is meaningful. We'll start by going back in terms of why we started the whole journey. What is our destination? What is that we need to get to that destination? Quick discussion. And we want to address sort of one myth about mocks, and then the reasons as to why you should take mock now. What should be a mindset when you take the mock, especially the CDC Pro Mock number 1. And we also look at why this mock, what is kind of, at least what is special about this particular mock, how you take it, and what are the kind of analysis that one should do. So that is what we'll cover, and we'll pick up, of course, any questions that you have during the session or after the session. So, in any case, hang in there. I believe that you'll get a good understanding in terms of what is that you need to do with respect to the CDC Pro Mock number 1. Yeah, GP. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that sums it very well as to what we plan to do. So, Jijo, I guess we can go straight on to the first question as to the destination.
Destination. At the end of the day, we are doing this to get a score. I will put the scores of last year on the screen. So on the column, you will see the overall score that is required to hit the percentile and individual section. Please do note that this is this percentile is for individual section. If you add those 3 scores, if you add the 99th percentile of ERC, DLR, and QA, your overall percentile is not going to be 99, it will be much higher. So this is for individual section. For example, for VRC to hit 99 percentile, you need about 45. At least that's what you needed last year. For DLR is 34 and QA is 34. You have, of course, your own kind of target school that you want to get into. So this probably is a good time to remind you what is that we are chasing, what is that we are targeting. Yeah, GP.
Yeah, one of the things, Jijo, I want to be just to emphasize again what you said, that each one of you will probably need to have your own target. And then please remember that different institutes have different percentile and profile based cutoffs. Okay? So the same percentile score will not get you a call from all institutes. Okay? In some places, while some almost all the answer profile will also will be taken into account. And what does profile mean? It means your marks in 10th, 12th graduation, the number of months of work experience, your gender, and your academic background. So these are the things which will have to be looked at when you are when we are deciding what should be a target score, and you could do that by checking out the percentile predictor. So if you go to the Profilizer or the percentile predictor on your CL Zone account, on your MyZone account, you will be able to find that. Okay, and also remember your category, general category, SC, ST, OBC, what are your categories will also play a role. So that should give you the lowest possible score you should be looking at. I'm not saying that that should become your target. So if you find for your category you need a score of 93 percentile, that is the bare minimum you should be looking at, and you should look at going way beyond it, so that the chance of conversion also improves significantly.
Right. One thing that I think that's something that we have said, and especially since you're a serious category, you would know that percentile is a rank, right? It's not a score; it's a rank. So 99 percentile simply would mean that you have beaten 99% of the test taking population. So 99 percentile score does not require 99 percentage marks. In fact, you will probably require close to about, I think 99.5 will require close to about 50 percentage marks. If you can
Yeah.
get half the questions net correct, you're almost there. So other thing that you also would want to figure out, and I'm sure in this journey you'll try and figure out in terms of how you want to play this game, right? So you have your own strength with respect to at least your own understanding of your strength with respect to each of the three sections. You might want to say that these are the section I want to push my score up, and this kind of score that I would need. So all this, I'm sure that as you take the mock, you'll have some sense and understanding in terms of what is a game that you'll have to play, and that is something that you'll have to figure out yourself, because after all, it is your cat, your aspiration, your target score, and then your strength, your weaknesses, your preparation level. So ensure that you align that with what you need, right? Yeah. So now, how do we reach that particular position? So,
Yeah.
so GP, if I look at cat requires two things. I mean, very broadly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a simplified look at what cat is. One
Mhm.
is you need to do well in each of the sections. So you need to, in the sense that you need to have the competence in each of the sections. So comprehension in VRC, for instance, or a structured approach in DLA, or all the concept knowledge that you have in QA. So you need to have the competence. If you don't have the competence, then of course in the test that will reflect. But there is also one more thing that is very important. So eventually you have to execute in the test as well, right? So, and many a times this is where I believe that, and we'll discuss this in detail a little later.
Mm.
You actually know that many a times you're not able to execute well in the test. You end up getting stuck in a particular question. You waste a lot of time. You do have the competence, but you eventually are not able to execute. So one of the ways in which you'll see that mock playing a very crucially important role is how do I kind of ensure that whatever competence that I have, I'm able to deliver on the D-Day. Yeah.
And absolutely right, Jijo. In fact, I have always found that majority of these students, the problem is not so much in competence, but it is essentially in the domain of execution. They know a lot of stuff, but they are not able to execute it in the paper, and that is what creates a problem for them. And a little and we'll be discussing the OCAD score, etc. And there we'll talk about in detail. But the bottom line, which I want students to understand, is what Jijo said. 99 percentile, last year's paper, 68 question, 3 marks per question was 204. Sorry, it was a 204 mark paper, 68 question into 3. 99.5 percentile was at 107 marks, which is just above 50%. 104, 102 would have been 50%, another 5 marks are there, so about 52% is where it would have been. So 52% marks will get you almost the top rank in the paper. So competence is important, but not critical. You need to have certain amount of knowledge, no doubt about it. But at the same time, whatever knowledge you have, if you are able to apply it well, if you are able to execute as well, you can do better than people with higher amount of knowledge. So execution is the game out here, because the bar or the level for knowledge is significantly low as compared to an exam like, let's say, JE or NEET or UPSC or CA. Those exams require very high level of competence or high level of knowledge. This paper requires comparatively lower level of competence, but very high level of execution. So that is where you need to be sure that you do well. And if there's one thing you need to take through these mocks, especially the CDC one, is going to be how do I execute my plan? How do I attempt the paper?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, GP. I think I can give you a simple sort of examples, right? Imagine, for example, you are doing reading comprehension. Now, if you have time, you read the passage, you can solve the questions. And on the test day, you read the passage in about 4 minutes. You solved one question in about 1 minute. That's 5 minutes. You solve the second question in about less than a minute. That's about 6 minutes. But for some reason, the next question, you got stuck in two options. You decided that I'm going to go back to the passage, come back, read again, think. And before you know it, 2.5 minutes just went for that particular question and got you -1 mark. One more question like that, another 2.5 minutes. Before you know it, this one passage had taken you 12, 15 minutes. What was needed at that point in time You thinking that, okay, this particular question is not worth my time because it's really confusing. There are other questions available to me. I'm going to move. This happened not just in VRC, it happens in QA. So, for example, you have your favorite topic. I like time, speed, distance. There is one really tough question on time, speed, distance. You're not willing to let go. You sit with that question 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Before you know it, you suddenly see that, okay, time just went away. You're nowhere. This happens a lot, right? And it is kind of, you cannot be waiting, I believe, in the month of September to figure these things out, right? While you are kind of building the competence along the side, it's also very, very important to know that what is the way in which I'm going to spend that 40 minutes in each of the section, and what is the behavior that I need to ensure that I can whatever is a competence that I have, I'm able to maximize it on the test day. So that's th- that's something that becomes, which is why I think the mocks becomes that much crucial important. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is this question, which comes to the question, GP, should I take mocks after my syllabus is done?
Yeah. And there's a very, very common question which we get, and the question that I have, or the counter question that I have for students at that point of time is, can you tell me what is the syllabus of CAT? Okay. The syllabus of CAT is only defined for, let's say, quant or mathematics, where you have some semblance of syllabus. When it comes to reading comprehension or data interpretation, there is no syllabus. Reading comprehension is something which was formally introduced to you possibly in your class 5th or 6th, where an unseen passage was given, which was unseen, you had not seen it earlier, and after which you are supposed to read it and answer questions based on that. But throughout your life, you have been doing reading, so passages can come from anywhere. There are multiple sources available. We'll cover all of them in the box, but by and large, from your point of view, you're not going to get the same passage again. You'll get different kind of passages, so no syllabus there. Similarly, if you look at DILR, again, we are talking about the same thing. There will be different kind of data sets. While they can be structured in some kind of a format, but at the same format, you can have different kind of data sets further. So there's no syllabus as far as DILR and quant is concerned. You just need to get done with the basics. Just have a broad understanding of how to solve a data set, and start taking the paper. English is something, as I said, reading comprehension, something you've been doing since your class 5th or 6th. So there's no syllabus. So please don't wait for syllabus completion. Secondly, in the previous slide, we just talked about one thing, that 50% marks is roughly going to get you a 99.5 percentile, almost, if not 99.5, at least a 99. So do I really need to worry about syllabus? It is telling you 50% marks, or 50% of the syllabus is good enough if I go by the term syllabus. So frankly, don't wait, because as I said, the biggest gap that students have in this paper is the execution gap. They have sufficient knowledge, but they are not able to translate that knowledge into marks. And that is where you need to work, and that will get improved, or that will improve only when you start taking the mocks. So mocks have to be started as soon as possible. I'll say, if you want to be lenient with yourself, once you start preparing for your CAT, maybe give yourself a couple of weeks to just brush up your basic tables, and then just to get to know about the various kind of data sets, and start doing the papers immediately. Because whatever knowledge of maths you have in class 10, some of that you'll be able to apply immediately.
Yeah. So basically, what GP is saying, no to that question. And VRC has got no syllabus. DLR has got no syllabus. And waiting is actually less practice, because it's going to give you more pressure. I would want to add to kind of something that GP has been telling, and we'll of course in fact, I think that's what we would discuss next time. So one of the things that you have to understand is, so the way in which many of you would look at a mock and say that, okay, mock is something that is that I'm supposed to take after some whatever, something they'll have to do. But the question that you have to ask yourself, wouldn't mock teach you something? I mean, you have those. For instance, of course, we talked about the fact that there is execution, which is important. But one of the things that you also have to remember is, are you not solving passages? Are you not solving DLR sets? Are you not solving questions? Now, are you not exposing yourself to different type of questions, building skills, reasoning skills? Imagine, for example, let's say, let me count 15 mocks that you'll take at this pro mock. I'm sure that there are flexi mock as well, but let me just take 15 mocks. That is 60 reading comprehension passages of good quality, 60 to 70 sets of DLR of pretty good quality. I think a substantial number of questions. Probably, I think it'll be about 300 questions.
330 questions of quant.
330 questions of quant in good quality. Now you and is it sort of not helping you learn? I think there is. Before I take GP's input in this, see, you will take the first mock, right? But the challenge is, would you take the second? Would you take the third? Because what happens typically when you start taking these mock is, okay, let's start with the VRC section. That's the first section. I mean, the good thing about VRC is that you will cry only after the test. While taking the test, you can mark something. So you'll see a lot of green on the right-hand side. Then you go sit for DLR, you're staring at set number 1, you're scribbling something, nothing happens. Set number 2, set number 3, you're like, when does 40 minutes get done? Then you go to QA, you're almost lost. Then you're thinking that, what is my point in doing this? Why am I doing this? There is no point in doing this. So the problem is in terms of how we look at these tests. How do you look at the test? That will kind of change and shape everything about your whole preparation itself, right? So that's something that we want to get into next in terms of a discussion that we would like to have in terms of the kind of mindset that you have with respect to the mock test. So how you should look at a mock test?
See, a mock at the end of the day is a learning tool. Based on your performance mock, no one is going to give you admission in any institute whatsoever. Okay? Because the purpose of a mock is to help you learn, to help you improve your performance, to identify what all mistakes are you committing, what are the process flaws which are there, how are you taking the paper, what are the things you need to improve. So there are lots of learning avenues. And in addition to that, you also have, as Gejo said, 4 passages of RC, 8 questions of verbal ability, 5 data sets, 22 questions of quant. Each of them is a learning tool again. And please remember the questions which are typically in mocks. Every mock is designed keeping in mind certain CAT and a certain level of CAT. Now, this level of CAT is very, very difficult question because the level of CAT has varied a lot. So what we do is every paper would have certain logic behind the paper, and it's okay, we'll put these kind of questions in the paper. And many of those questions will be new for you in any case. Some might be old for you, but many of them will be new questions for you, and your learning has to happen there. In fact, I've always maintained the best learning tool for DI/LR is the mocks. Okay. And yes, it is true for quant and DI, quant and verbal also. But as it comes to DI/LR, if there's one thing you should definitely do is do all the mocks and the DI/LR sets thoroughly. Okay. So please don't look upon this as a validation tool that okay, now I am prepared, I am not prepared. No, these are papers which are meant to help you prepare. These are learning tools. These are papers which will help you improve your concepts, your knowledge, and also your ability to take papers in a better manner.
I'm GP want to actually put things in perspective. This syllabus you've already done in your life. Syllabus already over. I mean, if I look at quant, I mean, these are stuff that it's not like anything fresh. This is like stuff that you did in your 8, 9, 10 standard. It's not even has got 12 standard syllabus. It's like 8, 9, 10 standard. But comprehension is, you've been reading things, logical skills and things. It's a syllabus already done. I think in a lot of ways, the CAT preparation is about learning new things, not revisiting those things that you already know, right? So it's not as though, yes, there'll be areas of weakness and stuff. If I actually go back and look at the first slide, if you remember the first slide where we picked put your the percentile graph, you remember the 80th percentile rank For QA, that 2025 was 12 marks. Right?
Yes. There's 4
The 12
questions.
mark is 4 questions. So at this mock, I think that I can say that can I do 4? Can I do 5? This
Yeah.
this whole idea that there is something that I have to finish, that nothing's going to finish. So the thing, at least for uh, this mock number 1, it is not a verdict. It's a diagnosis. And every single mock is a learning tool. It's not a judgment day. The score is a data to you. So this is there's no there's absolutely no logic of you sitting and saying that do something. I think it's Calvin, I think it's a lot to do with how we took test in everything that we did in our life, right? For during our 12th, 11th, okay, I have to complete something, but those are all subject things. These are all skill based things. So in fact, I would also I can also vouch, and we'll get to the whole idea of how to learn from mock. That will be the our key discussion. But I will also like to say that it's quite possible to learn from mock to mock and use mock as a tool to improve, not as a reflection of your capability, but as a learning tool. So to talk about, for example, the CDC Pro Mock, right? For example, let's take CDC Pro Mock. Yeah. So if you want to do taking the test, that is just about 2 hours of activity. But redoing the question, learning, watching all video solutions, watching written solution, learning from this, that's going to take a time. That's going to take a while. You cannot wake up in the month of September and say that I'm going to solve all the mocks. There will be no learning. Now, what are the learning that you can have? For instance, for VARC, all the video solutions, you will see me, right? So it is you might not have taken my course, but this is an opportunity for you to learn from me. In all these mocks, GP will have this this video on how do I attempt a question, what are the kind of jugaad that one could do on these mock tests. That's where you can learn. There are other faculty members from Ravi to the Shivku, or lot many people. So assume that you are a classroom student sitting in, I don't know, Chandigarh, and you have a teacher, you've got fantastic set of faculty members you're teaching, but you also have to realize and remember that we are also part of your learning and you have access to us. And this is a place where you'll have the tremendous amount of opportunity of learning. And if you miss it out, I mean, I don't know what to say. GP, that's what
Yeah,
I think.
just to add to Gejo what you said, if I go section by section, what are the learning you can get? In verbal, in reading comprehension, you'll learn a couple of things. One, which are the choice? How do I eliminate choices? For example, I read the passage. How do I read the passage first of all? Then once I've read the passage, how do I go and choose the right choices? Some questions the choice will be very very obvious. We'll pick it up, but there will be questions where the choices will be closed, so-called closed by for the students, and they will struggle in picking the right answer. There, the elimination technique is something you learn. So how to choose the right choice becomes important when there are close choices. That is what you learn. In addition to how to read the passage. Similarly, when you go to the verbal questions, in each of those verbal questions, similarly, how do I eliminate choice? How do I pick the right choice is something which will go hand in hand. When you go to DILR, please remember DILR is typically considered to be the most difficult section of this paper from a student's perspective. And out of the 5 sets, if you have done 2 to 3 sets, you have done reasonably well. Hardly anyone would do all 5 sets. A few people would do 4 out of 5 sets. Okay? But most people would be a max of 3 sets. Okay? Which means the starting point will be which sets to attempt. So the learning of as to how to choose the right sets to attempt becomes important. Secondly, once you get into the set, how do I tabulate the data? What are the things I should be looking out for? Which are the questions which are going to be helpful for me in solving the set and getting the answers faster? Which are the questions I should not be attempting? That is also something you need to learn. Is it better for me to leave these questions so that I can do another extra set, or should I spend 5 minutes solving a question? So you will not learn not only how to solve a question, you'll also learn how to leave a question, and which is extremely important, and which is what we talk about the execution gap or the ability to execute. Similarly, if you go to the quant section, in each of the, again, a 99 percentile will typically be 10 to 11 questions, which means which are the questions I should be attempting, which are the questions, how do I identify whether this question will be, I'll be able to do fast or will it take time for me to solve. From the question which I attempted or did not attempt, once you go to the Jugaad videos, you'll see what were the faster or the easier ways of solving the question. How could you have used the choices? The same thing will be true for DILR also. Which are the questions you could have used the choices to solve? So all this is learning which will happen after the paper. In addition to that, I would also want you to attempt all the passages or the DILR sets or the quant question which you did not attempt during the paper. Attempt them now and improve your knowledge base. So as I said, and as Gejo has been saying, this is a learning tool. Use it to learn, use it to improve. Don't look at your score and say, shit, I've messed up. Maybe you have. Maybe you have not. Maybe it was a difficult paper. But see, if a similar paper comes again, what are the learnings I can take from here so that the next time I'll be able to do better is the approach you need to have for the mocks.
Absolutely. And if I have to give you some tips about this particular mock, so 2026 is going to be conducted by IIM Indore. So one of the things that we thought is, since it is a first mock, why don't we build on IIM Indore paper side? We have 2020 was created by IIM Indore, GP 2013 and 2014, right?
Yeah, 2013, 14, both were again IIM Indore.
2013 paper is not available, of course, but we have our learning available with us. Yeah. We are not in any way saying that the history will repeat. History may repeat, may not repeat, but since we have it, why not use it? So here, I think we look at sort of the last 3 times IIM Indore created something, and we'll create IIM Indore flavor. And this is probably the only time we're going to tell you the logic of a particular test before the mock. Usually every single mock is thought with respect to a particular logic, particular idea. I remember, for example, last year, right, when we sort of had this logic that, look, we need to up the level of difficulty of DLR, and we put the logic in some of these mocks. And everybody had this idea that there is a trend downwards towards making it the easier one. We said no. We'll have to ensure that we'll have to look at various possibilities, and we did. And in fact, we had a lot of criticism back then while taking the mock. And come CAT, the CAT DLR was at par with the level of difficulty of those tests that we created. So we will have logic for every single test. It's not going to be random. These are the people involved in responsible, at least 2 of the people responsible for creating good quality CDC Pro Mocks are here. There are, of course, other people involved. So this is what we'll do. And that's the only thing that we'll say. You can actually go back and look at 2020 paper if you want to understand the IIM Indore flavor. But yeah, we just go and give the flavor. So I take it.
That's just the important thing is there's something which IIM Indore does regularly, something which will happen only once, and we typically try to pick up those items and try to incorporate in the paper. But from your point of view, you should be ready for any surprise. Last year, students who followed us, who went by advice and did not check mocks because they looked difficult to them, gained out of them. And students who felt that the career launcher CDCs are very difficult and moved away are the ones who suffered a lot. Okay? So why did that happen? Because CAT 2024 data in DILR was an easy section, was the easiest DILR in the last 10 years or so. And everyone assumed because 24 was easy, 25 will also be easy. We disagreed with that. Our point was we don't know whether it will be easy or difficult. And our job is to prepare for you for all kinds of papers, easy, medium, difficult, whatever you should be able to handle it. So just because one paper is easy will not make it easy for you. Yes, there will be few easy papers, but there will be other kind of papers also. And the same thing we'll be doing here, which means, yes, we'll follow the IIM Indore pattern this year for the first paper. There will be other papers also which will have Indore pattern, the so-called Indore pattern, but that will not be the only thing. There will be a mix. And as Gejo said, subsequent papers, you will get to know the logic of the paper after the paper, not before the paper.
Yeah. Even if you look at back and so you can, if I analyze the papers of the same IIM conducting the paper, you'll see some similarities, lot of dissimilarities. In fact, you'll also find variation within slot itself. So it is but like GP said, it's our job to ensure that uh, obviously we have to base something. We cannot create something random. Of course, the cat can do what the cat can do. There is no pattern or level of difficulty fixed for cat. It can be anything, right? But we have to ensure that whatever is given to you through the CDC Pro Mocks, it has to have some logic, some basis, some thought process, and that's what we'll do for every single mock that we create. And post the mock, we'll have an analysis session. We'll let you know what the logic was. We'll let know what the thought process was, and how each section was designed. Why is the score looking the way in which it's looking? What are the good thing that you got to do? But all this learning you're going to have only if you take the mock, right? So how to take it? I think keep it simple. Don't hurry. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think there is no need to hurry. Do what you can, skip what you can't, and see where it is. Okay. So there is no need to feel bad about. So you have to understand something, and GP will agree with this. What is CAT? CAT is a set of questions that you see on the screen. You see one stuff on the screen, one question on the screen. Deal with it. I think there is no point sitting and hurrying. It's just a myth that you should read fast. If you read fast, you will not understand. You will waste more time. Read at your pace, whatever it is, whether it is math question, DLR question, or VRC question. Read at your pace. Do what you can. Give it a shot. If it is not happening, just move forward. See where it lands up. See where you land up in the particular mock. Don't even worry. For example, let's assume that okay, this particular topic was not done in the class. Don't have any such feeling. Look at the question on the screen, please. You have to remember that all this concept that you see on the CAT screen is something that you have done sometime in your life. You might have forgotten. Okay, so you have to have that sort of agnostic outlook. So don't care. See the question on the screen. Make decision. Keep moving on, and see what happens at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something which okay. Let me just pick up. Yes, Utsav has a question. Utsav, I'm not taking the complete question, but I'm just looking at the first part. How to stay calm, and that is extremely important in this paper. That you have to stay calm, and you don't have to allow the paper to get over you. One of the biggest problems I find as far as students are concerned is they allow the time pressure to get over them. Oh, I have 40 minutes, I have to do 24 questions or 22 questions or 20 questions as the case may be. Yes, you have to. But look at look at any of these sections. Do you need to get 100% marks? No. 99 percentile in verbal was about 45 or so. In quant and DILR was around 50% or so. 45 out of 72 would be about 60% marks, 65% marks. So first thing you need to remember is, and I'm repeating what Gejo said, please don't rush. One of the biggest problems that happens in this paper, because we want to do all 22 questions and we want to do them correct, obviously, we rush through the question because we rush through the question, we don't read it carefully, miss out on words. The question said, which of the following is not possible as per the passage? I missed out on the word not, and I missed out the question. The same thing will happen in quant and DILR also. So please don't rush to the question or to the choices. You don't save time by reading the question fast or reading the choices fast or doing the calculation fast. Three things you should not do. Don't read the question fast. Don't read the passages fast. Don't read the choices fast. Don't calculate fast. So no fast, nothing. How do you do things fast? By leaving things what you cannot do. You read the passage, you read the question, you are confused with the question, leave it. You read the quant question, you don't understand what it is asking for, leave it and move on. Don't spend time reading it again and again. So no hurry is extremely important. Okay? And you do what you can. Whatever you understand, do it. And once you are doing the question, don't be too worried about the time aspect. Okay? And that's the important thing. So 3 things which Gejo said. No rush. Whatever confuses, which is step 3, which whatever looks confusing, you don't understand, leave it. And the step 2 one is whatever you can solve, please solve without worrying too much about the time aspect. Okay. So if you keep things simple, you will do well in this paper. So yeah, Gejo.
So see, the perception of time and actual time are 2 very different things, right? So when you see a timer moving, the fact that I'm looking at the timer feels like the time is moving very fast, but I would want you guys to do this small exercise. Okay, do it at home. I hope that you have somebody at your home, parent, brother, sister, whoever. Okay. Ask them to start a timer and stop the timer at 1 minute. What you got to do is close your eyes when the start happens and stop happens. Nothing. Just close your eyes. The only way for us to understand time, whether 5 minutes pass or 10 minutes pass, we as human being is we just cannot. For example, we are sitting somewhere and after some time, how many minutes pass? We just can't. We don't have the ability. So this the it's not there, right? So we don't know, for example, what is 5 minutes, what is 2 minutes, what 3 minutes. We just don't. The fact that the timer exists, that a timer runs, it is merely creating a perception. So what you got to do in the paper is to make the timer your friend, right? What you can do is, let's say, 40 minutes. You create, for example, okay, whatever. The 30 minutes left, 20 minutes left, 10 minutes left, or whatever. What are the broad things that you want to achieve by then? Not something specific. Okay, I should be somewhere here, I should be somewhere there, right? Or simply read the passage by clicking the question paper button. You will the timer only will hide. So there is this idea that the 1 minute is too less. It's a wrong perception. In fact, we get very pissed when there is a 10 ad in YouTube, right? Oh, it's too long, right? That's
That's right.
you have to understand. So, but that I think this is so. You have taken a mock. You have to extract the maximum. In fact, it's not just mock. Any test that you take, you have to extract maximum. Here is something that you did, and you have to now ensure the next time I do the same thing, I should know, at least have some idea what should I do. How do I keep myself better? If I don't understand what happened today, you will not get more. So so let's say in a mock you scored something, right? And you sort of have a target which seems to be very huge. You're sitting and, oh my god, what can happen? Oh, the gap is too much. I'm supposed to get 99 percentile. I'm at the 50th percentile. I was targeting a score of 90. Shit, I'm at 40. Nothing. Oh my god, what can happen? This is a typical feeling that happens. So the immediate thing that you do is, okay, why did I get this wrong? Okay, let me go check the explanation. Why did I get this right? You immediately start jumping into explanatory answers. You got to understand something. If I am creating a video solution, what I'm doing is merely explaining the explanatory answer. I cannot know your problem. None of the explanatory answer can know your thought process, your problem. Explanatory answer can never tell you the what you were thinking and how you should correct your thinking. So the first thing that you have to do, once you take in a test, this goes for anything that you do. Before you look at explanation, before you look at anything, obviously you know the score and stuff, but before you look at anything, you have to understand your awqat. That's what GP was saying in the beginning. You have to understand what is your awqat, in the sense that I took the mock under a lot of pressure. I think Utsav, GP Utsav was saying, I remember
Yeah.
that. He was not calm. So the fact that he got the score has got nothing to do with competence. I need to ask two questions. Should I study more or should I become a better test taker? What should I do? And that can only happen if you redo the question once again without any time limit. Analysis is a fancy word. Just redo the question once again without any time limit. And now you'll have a huge data. In the mock, I got this question wrong. Now I'm getting it right. What the hell? In the mock, I skipped this question. Shit, I got it. I'm getting it right. In this mock, I made the question. I I I I marked something. I spent a lot of time in a particular question. I still can't solve it. There is a wealth of knowledge that you'll get simply by doing these questions once again without any time limit. Right. GP, your thought on this? And for
No, absolutely. See, end of the day, until unless you redo the entire paper again or you redo the paper, you will not know what did you miss out on. For example, you need to be able to identify where did you waste time, which are the questions which you wasted time on, which are the questions which are easy and you missed. Yeah, so for that you have to solve. So our card score very simply says If there was no time limit and you were not under any kind of pressure, which are the questions you could have solved comfortably and what score would you have got? And my Gejo's experience has been for practically all these students, the OCAD score is usually higher than the target score. So what you're capable of getting, you are not getting because you're messing up the paper. So which is why I said initially, it's an execution gap that most of you need to live. Most of you need to look at. Okay? So execution gap, what you could have scored versus what you actually scored. And while we are putting it in the middle, for most of you, this blue rectangle of a card will be above the target score. You will realize the target score is below your card, and hence only thing you need to worry about is how do I do this paper, which are the questions I should attempt, how do I stay calm, which are the questions I should leave, and so on and so forth. Okay? And yeah, Gejo, so execution gap is there, and the gap between your target and our card score is your competence gap. Okay, for some of you, this will be the gap. You will have both the execution gap as well as the competence gap. For some of you, it is going to be essentially the execution gap that you need to be looking at. Okay? And please remember, this will vary from section to section. So in some section, let's say your verbal, you might be your target score and your card score might be matching. In some other section, your target score and the card score might be very, very different. Okay, so in each of the three sections, you have to look at it separately. Don't look at the paper as a whole. These are three sections. So these are three papers that you need to be looking at. Okay. And yeah, Gejo, you could take up the competence versus the execution gap issue.
Yeah, so basically, first of all, I should know if I have all that. If I'm calm, how much would I've got? That's what GP is saying. Okay, then there's an execution issue. I have the skills, I've got the competence, I've got the knowledge. मैं इतना पढ़ाई किया, fight मारा, competent लेके आया competence, जाके मैं कर क्या रहा है मॉक में, है ना? ये तो पहला है ना. This is then the answer is not और पढ़ाई करूं, नहीं. और पढ़ाई करके क्या ही होगा? You will build more skills, but I have to execute, right? So now you go back and think about what was your thinking in this particular question. What happened? Why did I read the sentence twice? Why did I make this mistake? Why did I take the silly mistake? Why did I unnecessarily spend time on question number 82 for, so there is no question 82. Question number 54 for no reason whatsoever other than pure ego. And nobody in the world will be able to find answer to this question. The only person who will be able to find answer to the question is you. Okay. And then if there is a issue between, if there's a competence gap, oh my God, I think that I'm getting logarithm is paining me. I'm getting a mistake. Logarithm, I have to, then I know, okay, that is a gap that I will try and fill by practicing more. And now if you are someone who just started preparation, you will see that there'll be competence. You assume there'll be a lot of competence gap. I am guaranteeing what that GP is saying. Take the test, redo the question once again, and then you know. So what you'll have to do is this. Okay, let me give you what you should do. Let me say what I would have done. So I do this OCAD score, right? Now the next thing I know is I know the answer key. I have not seen the explanation. I have not seen the video solution. No. I will try and, especially for something like DRC, I will try and defend the correct answer. Not my answer. Defend the correct answer. Okay, I've got this answer to this the question on quant. Okay, let me try and solve it myself to get here. What did I miss? I will put my every effort to teach myself. And then I will think about, okay, these are the 3-4 things. Then I'm going to look at the solutions. Then I'm going to look at the video solution. Then I'm going to come back and say. So you'll actually see that when I say I'm going to take mock, is not just taking the test. It's the whole end-to-end thing. And as you start your journey, for example, in the first mock, you're probably going to take a week to do all of this, right? Because you will have gaps. So as you take more and more, because the gap reduces, your time analysis reduces. There is no point in taking mock after mock after mock without actually doing the analysis. It's like, for what am I saying? Let's say I want to look good. Okay. What is the solution to look good? Every day, wake up in the morning, look in the mirror. Okay. That visit to the, that's like randomly taking the mock. Unless and until between two looks, if you don't do something on your own, invest, whatever, things are not going to change. And now imagine, let's say you're doing this from the month of May, you're doing this in June, you're doing this in July, you're doing this in August, you're doing this in September, you're doing this in October, you're doing this in November, and you're doing this across question and across what? Very high quality questions with absolutely awesome level of solutions with high quality instructions. I mean, you got to improve your score, GP.
Yeah. See, end of the day, please remember, one, you have to find the gaps, you have to fill it up, and secondly, you have to keep doing it again and again. Okay? For example, the question in the mock one, which you found difficult, which you, okay, after looking at the solution, you understood whether it is quant, DILR, or verbal, doesn't matter. Bookmark those questions and start revising those questions once in a couple of weeks at least. Because what that will do is it will keep reminding you, okay, these are the mistakes you committed, this is how you rectify them. This is the concept I forgot, this is the way I could have used the choices. Okay. So revision is extremely important. So after you have taken the paper, you have gone through the analysis, you have redone the paper, identified the gaps, use again this paper as a learning tool or revision tool, which means identify the questions of quant, DILR, and verbal that you need to revise and revise them once a week. That becomes extremely important. Now, all that we have said is important, but what you also need to remember is that most of you have a poor score in the first mock. Okay? Don't let that bother you. Okay. I don't know how many of you are interested in politics and how many of you know the name of Mr. Kanchi Ram. Okay. But he had a famous dialogue, and Gejo is aware what I'm going to say. He used to say, पहला इलेक्शन हारने के लिए है. First election you will fight to lose. दूसरा इलेक्शन हराने के लिए है. Second election you will fight to make someone else lose. तीसरा इलेक्शन तुम जीतोगे. Third election you will win. Just apply the same logic here. First mock for you is to lose, which means to make all kind of mistakes. You will identify them after the paper. Second paper, when you take, you will have rectified some of those mistakes and you would be somewhat in control of the paper. And by the time you hit the third mock, you'll have understood how to take the paper and how to improve upon it and what are the gaps you need to fill. So it will take you a total of 3 papers to get the hang of it. But the bottom line being, after every paper, you have to do the detailed analysis as Gejo has talked about. Otherwise, taking a paper is just a waste of time. You might as well not take the paper at all.
So, don't aim to score, aim to learn. Right. So,
yeah, just a couple of questions. I think we can take them. What would you tell Utsav? As we have few months left, I panic that time is not left. Try to study more on weekends, but next 2 days fatigue kicks in. This leads to inconsistency.
1 second, please. Take calm. As we have months left, I panic. Time not left. Try to study more on weekend, approximately 10 to 12. But why are you studying 10 to 12 hours? Okay. So first of all, I think from what I can see, you have assumed a problem. I think that this assumed problem has come from all the discussion that you're having from Reddit and Telegram and with other 20-year-old. I think that there is no need to do whatever you're doing. You have to make your preparation effective, right? There is, I think that you're looking at what we are in the month of May. I think we got the May, and then there is June, July, August, and September, and October, November. You're saying that we have no time left. So, a lot of time.
Yeah. See, so the issue is that I'll agree with completely. You have lots of time. You're unnecessarily panicking, and you're creating problems for yourself. Okay, you're no point studying 10 to hours every day on Saturday and Sunday each if the next 2 days will go for a toss completely. That means you're overdoing. So whatever extra you're doing in any case is not working. So reduce. The same thing which we talked about, the paper is valid here also. Do as much as you can. Don't try to overexert. It's going to be counterproductive. I'm sure after you have studied for 5-6 hours, in any case, nothing you will be able to understand. So why even go to 10-12 hours? So go do as much as you can. And as Gejo said, we have lots of time with you. 6 months is more than enough. We know students, average students who have done well in the paper, going to the top end after studying for 3 to 4 months also. Okay, so just relax. And Gejo, another question from a VRC student. Okay, I think I'll take it up. Humanshi, this is not available for VRC 1000 students. You'll have to enroll for it. But as you are a VRC 1000 student, there is a significant fee waiver or a discount for the students of VRC 1000 for enrolling for the test series. Okay, okay. Gejo, next question for you.
What is the better strategy? Scoring 40 plus in VRC and 20 the rest of the session? Okay, both strategies are bad strategies. Okay, so I mean the reason why it is because you look at, let's take 20 to 30. What's the difference? 20 to 30 is practically a 3 marks difference, 3 question difference, and you will actually see that this is how the score will fluctuate. If you start assuming that I'm going to look at 20 to I will have a balance 30 or a 40 20, you will see a lot of marks will be 30 some marks will be 40 20. You cannot be thinking like this. You are basically telling yourself that, look, DLR and QA I'm going to give up, right? I'm just going to solve about 7-8 questions. So the way in which you want, I don't know what your overall target is, right? But instead of actually the overall target is, but I think that you would want to say that if let's say if you want to target about 90, you assume a kind of fluctuation that happens in your score, and 90 would mean that you. I think the way in which I look at 90 is that you need to have 2 sections that rocks. Anything about, I think that you cannot say that I'm going to balance between 3 sections. I don't know what that means, but you need
actually I'm actually confused. How can reduction in your scores of VRC improve your scores in quant or DI?
Correct.
40 plus in VRC or 30 in VRC has got no connection with 20 or 30 in quant or DI. These are 3 different papers. So you have to do the best you can in each of the 3 sections. So if you are telling me as someone who's great in verbal, yeah, target 40 plus, do as well as you can. But the moment you say 40, 20, 20 or 30, 30, 30, you have presupposed a kind of paper. The same mistake with lots of students did for CAT 25. You don't assume the paper will be that. Your job is whatever is in front of you, you have to maximize or optimize within that. Okay. So, and again, going back, if you're good in verbal, why even stop at 40? Why not 45, 50 or 55? Okay. So try to do well in the section. Okay, let me give you a generic rule. In the section which you are good at, you should try to go as high as possible. If verbal is your strong area, you should look at going to 45, 60 even. If quant is your strong area, you could go to 40, 45, and DILR is a strong area, you could again go to 35, 40 or so. Okay. But if you are weak in an area, just make sure you at least clear the sectional cutoff, and your job becomes you will pick and choose the right questions to attempt. Okay. But don't allow, again I will repeat, reduction in score of verbal will not compensate for the scores in the other 2 sections. There's no correlation between scores across the 3 sections.
Let me also add one more perspective here. Like, your perception about weak or strong is how you feel you are today, right?
Yeah.
What you'll have to do is see, tomorrow will be a today, day after will be a today, CAD will be a today, right? So at some point in time, what you'll have to do is that you have to sit and imagine today, what kind of person you are on the day of the CAD. What do you want to be? Okay, you are looking at the score of 40 20 20 or 30 20 30 30 is about your perception of who you are today. But I think that you should look at the score by saying that who you want to be on the day of the CAT, who you can be on the day of the CAT, and that I think will shape a lot of a preparation. For example, if you are targeting saying that DLR mein mujhe 20 chahiye, which means I'm going to solve about 7 questions. The only thing that I'm going to do is 2 sets. Okay, that is how you will think every single day from today till the very end, which means you will say that set theory I will not solve. This kind of question I will leave. So your preparation will. So just sit with yourself and don't worry about what you believe is your strength, weakness, etc. today, but say that okay, this is what I imagine to be on the day of the CAT, and sort of backward.
Also, as you take the papers, you will suddenly find that what you thought was a strong area might be a weak area and vice versa. So let the papers decide that and let your preparation strategy flow out of it. Don't presuppose that these are the scores which I would target.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess that's it, Gejo, from our side. Okay.
All right. All the very best. See
Okay.
you
Good night,
after
and
CDC Pro Mock number 1.
yeah, we'll see you in the analysis of the CDC. All the best.